All righty, welcome everybody. We're going to have Ms. Jill from the Enterprise Center welcome you here.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Business Luncheon, sponsored by the Southwest Florida Impact Partners. We have a variety of bankers here with a wealth of knowledge to help you. So,
That's good. Keep going. You okay?
Phyllis Calloway's the director, and I am the admin assistant here. She had a prior engagement, but she should be here shortly to speak with you. And now I give it to Lee Ford.
Okay, most of you have been here before, the business folks, so we don't have to repeat it for you, but for half of the others of you who've never been here before, this is not a how to go to the bank and get a loan and get a line of credit. These workshops are about developing relationships with professions that help you survive as a business. As you know, we had the attorneys last month, and we got the bankers this month. Yes, you may need a line of credit, and yes, you may need a commercial loan to assist you with your business. But it's a whole lot different kind of response when they know you and you know them. There's a whole other thing walking in off the street saying, I got a business and I need a line of credit, than coming in and said, hey, Ernest, how you doing today? I need a line of credit. This is what this is about. This is an opportunity for you to ask questions, get engaged, meet, shake hands, talk, go out and have coffee, tea, whatever your preference is, maybe a little scotch or whatever. And develop this one-on-one as a business owner relationship with these bankers. I mean, we couldn't have all of them here, but you see what we do have. We have a very good variety of bankers that you all are familiar with here to talk to you today. The thing is, we're going to have them introduce themselves. They're going to give you a brief explanation of who they are, what they do for business. And then we're going to open it up for questions from you to them. And then if we get done, not like the lawyers, we didn't make it, but if we get it done, then we want you to engage with them personally. Come up to the ones you think you might want to develop a relationship with. Shake their hand, give them your card, tell them who you are, what you do. And then you set up a time. Say, hey, can I do lunch, or can I come in for an appointment with you, or whatever. Start your stuff. This is for you and your business. Being a businessman myself, I'm telling you, it's the difference between night and day. Just realize people you know that you have a relationship with, if one of them called you versus somebody you didn't, how much effort would you put in for somebody you know versus somebody you don't? This is what this is all about. This is real life business. This is how the business functions. This is how people get things done that others can't seem to get done. It's because they work on their relationships with the people they have to work with and need. Okay? Any questions for me? Now you know how the lunch goes, ladies and gentlemen. I see some of y'all got it together already. You get up, you go get your lunch, whatever you want, a sandwich, fruit, salad. You eat and talk and walk all at the same time. Okay? Okay. I'm gonna start with Mr. Juan here with West Fargo.
Okay. Do you want us to come over? Or just
you can do it from there or here, either one. I'm getting out the way.
Well, so I start here, and it's okay. So you guys don't need to come over. Okay, my name is Juan Picon. I work for Wells Fargo Bank. I've been with Wells almost, I would say, 21 years, 10 years in my location in downtown Fort Myers. One of the things that we really stuck to me when I started my career as a startup small business banking. I was no clue what getting to the small business. How can I help people more to start a business or help business develop or anything? No clue. I know through all my career, I started in Nebraska. And in Nebraska, I developed different programs, different plans, partnerships, and also meet face-to-face with my small business, because I think so it's key for development. One of the things that I know that we do in Wells Fargo is make sure that we sit with you. It's not just to open an account, open a business line, because I don't think so is the right way to do it. We want to discover your needs. We want to discover what is behind your business. We want to discover and take the time to build your relationship between you and my bankers. I think this is one of the key, most important right now, that we are working really hard in Wells Fargo in the last, I would say, 10 years to build relationship with people. Even if they say, no, but you are one of the biggest banks, you don't care about me, you just open an account, you don't help me with the line of credit. No, that's not true. If you go to wellsfargo.com, we are giving tools for free. You don't need to even have an account with us or anything. We are giving tools, resources, information, and the most important, education to a small business to develop your business. And one of the things that I bring it over to you guys, and I'm going to kind of pass it over for you, all the business in these days, they need cash flow. If you don't have a cash flow, even you do a service, or if you have a product or anything, especially with the recession that is coming, or whatever about the hurricane happen, all the challenge that we have in these days, cash flow is one of the things. Like I said, our job is not open just your checking account. Our job is not give you just the business line of credit. Our job is not give you more products and services like merchants, payroll, or all that we can offer. It's can educate you and guide you and sit with you and do discover needs. What is important for you? The first appointment with my bankers is key and essential because we are going to develop what is you. And like I said, I'm going to pass it over. I have a couple examples. And you can go to our website, wellsfargo.com. And they say here, it's easy. Create cash flow projection, start, manage, and grow in your business. This is how we do, and that's what we do. Also, in a monthly basis, we are doing some educations. For example, actually this month, we are doing articles in creating a cash flow projection. How they can help me with the projection, and I know all the time I hear, Juan, the projection is so hard, I don't understand anything. Please help me. Well, we simplify for you. We have a program called also Hands-on Banking that you guys can access to do it. And also, they give you the numbers. They give you tools, and they can help you with that. So, again, we are doing this business, small business, since, I think so we started with Fargo, since 1852. We start with how we can bring money to one part of the country, to another country. We create some, how we can send money. So we are being in business for a long time, guys. Now, in Florida, we are one of the strongest banks in small business. And our biggest strength is a small business. So I would like to invite you guys to come to visit us, come to talk to one of the bankers, make an appointment. It's not like a 15 minutes appointment. Let's go make sure that you get an hour or hour and a half. Doesn't matter the time, but take the time. Take advantage that we are working really hard to educate our bankers, educate our small business, educate our partners that will work with us, that this is for you. This is what we have in our community, and this is for you guys. So take advantage of that. Even if at the end of the day, you don't decide to work with us or anything, but at least you get the education piece. Because if we don't help our community, nobody's going to do it. So at this time, I want to introduce my banker. He is my associate personal banker. And if you want to do a little introduce of yourself.
Hello, everybody. My name is Elma Lara. I work for Wells Fargo with Juan Picon. He's actually my branch manager. So as an associate personal banker, I'm typically the first point of contact for you guys. Typically, we schedule an appointment. You sit down with me. I ask you questions. You ask me questions. I get to know a little bit about you. And I also like for my customers to know a little bit about me, because what better way to build a relationship than by knowing each other. I like to schedule at least an hour for my clients for the first meeting. I think it's the key point to get to understand what your needs are, what you're going to be doing, what your goals are for your business. Like Juan mentioned, we offer different types of products, different services. A lot of these products are accessible to you even without being our customer. And I would love to have the chance to get to know each and every one of you. This is my first event here today, so I'm really excited to be here. Everybody seems to, some of you guys have been here before, so I'm learning from you as you're learning from me. So thank you for being here, and I look forward to getting to know you all.
Okay, and I just want to close with who we are. I want to read something that we are working really hard in Wells Fargo in these days. At Wells Fargo, what we do is meaningful, and the importance of what we do brings tremendous responsibility. We must work every day with the highest standards of integrity and operational excellence in order to deliver what is expected of us by our many customers and stakeholders. So, welcome to Wells Fargo anytime, and if you have any questions or anything, I will be happy to answer today, okay? Thank you.
Okay, I'm not going to stand, just because it'll make me more nervous to talk in front of all of you. But my name is Becky. I'm the branch leader at the Merchants Crossing location for Truist, which is in North Fort Myers on the corner of Pine Island and 41. And I think Lee kicked it off really good with the small business, and being new to small business and new small businesses is you really have to build a relationship with your banker, or in Truist's perspective, we do, the branch leaders handle most of our small business interactions. And I think a lot of really good points that Lee brought up is that relationship building is key from the start of the interaction. So you really just have to sit down with your banker or branch leader at the bank and just really kind of help them understand what you're trying to accomplish with your small business and how we can be of assistance to you. So any bank you go to is going to have a checking account. Any bank you have is going to have a savings account. So it's not so much about walking in and saying, hi, I'm opening a small business checking account. It's really, again, taking the time to sit down, interact, help us understand your businesses, help us really help you through the growth pattern of your business, and really kind of help us understand how we can help you in the growth of your business. So it's not just that startup account, I'm here to open a checking, and then I'm in and out in the 20 minutes. So I totally agree. Anytime you go and sit down with a branch leader or a business specialist in the bank, you should be kind of counting on being there for at least an hour. So it's really, really important that we drive the entire knowledge of the start to finish of your business, and then identify ways not only to start up, but how we are through your entire journey of growing your business. So I really, I have Joel here. He's a little late, but I want to introduce him as well. Joel is our branch leader at the Pagefield office. But I think the start process is really just important, and I think that we really just need to drive through and understand your books, understand where you are in the process, and that is something that's really important to Truist as a bank as a whole. We are definitely the bank of community and want to make sure that we are there for our small business partners along the way. And I really just, I think the good thing to sit down and start is, one thing I love when my small businesses do is they ask the question, why should I bank with you? And I really love the opportunity to dig into what sets us apart from other banks, and how we can kind of develop that partnership, and how we can introduce you to additional partners along the way as your business grows. And it's just a really good opportunity to dig through your cash flow, your needs. How do I drive revenue? How do I manage my expenses? Anything from start to finish at the end is really just an important part of the process.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Definitely want to agree with what Becky's saying. My name is Joel Gordon. I am the branch leader at the Pagefield Commons location for Truist. We've been with the bank now for 8 years. Been a banker for 35 years. Well, not quite 35. 35 in the financial services space. So I've seen it all. And the major theme that I'm hearing here is banking really has become a commodity, right? And the bank is really a Would everybody agree? It is, you can go to any corner and you can get up a checking account, a savings account, a business account. But what really sets a bank apart is the person that's sitting in front of you. And you know, I pride myself on really just driving that value proposition to my client, saying, you know, I've seen it, I can walk you through it, even if I'm not an expert in it, I can find the right partners to get you there. So really, it's about partnership at the end of the day. All right?
So now I have to go, and hopefully you guys clap after I end. So I'm Ernest Wilkes. I'm the market executive for Regions Bank for the Fort Myers area. And I also head up the commercial banking group for Southwest Florida. So that's Marco Island up to Sarasota, Bradenton. My group, we typically work with companies, say up to $500 million in revenue. And I've been with the bank for 20 years in different markets. I spent time in Atlanta, I spent time in Miami-Dade, and I've been in this market for about 3 years. So that's me. So I guess from a banking standpoint, I guess being third or fourth in line, a lot of what I would have to say has already been said. But I do want to just stress the importance of building a relationship with your bank. Like someone said, it's not for the deposit, the rate you're going to get on your deposit, not for the loan and what they can give you. It's more for the advice and guidance. I guess one thing to realize is these business bankers, commercial bankers, branch bankers, they see so much. They see so many companies just like yours, and they can be very strong as far as sharing with you what you might not know. So you might come to them and say, I want to, grow my revenue to 10 million. They might say, well, this is how this company did it, or another company our bank did it. These are some techniques and strategies they use. So that knowledge and I guess from what they see every day is just so valuable, and and they're looking to share that with you all. So building relationships with your bank is just so important. And I'll give you an example. Through when COVID hit, I guess everyone had a business, was kind of stressed. They weren't sure where their payroll was going to come from, weren't sure when they could open their doors. But banks were getting information and intel about different programs. Of course, we had PPP, but also they had like restaurant revitalization grants. And so I know for a fact our team reached out to their restaurant clients. They didn't know about it, and the ones who were able to get it in time, they were getting hundreds of thousands of dollars that they would not have gotten if their banker didn't tell them about it. So the banks is very important, just based on the knowledge. Another thing, I guess, with my group, with my bankers working with companies from revenue from said 1 million or less than 1 million up to $500 million, things change as you grow. And being able to plan for growth and saying things look this way now as far as your access to capital or your business operations, but being able to plan for what comes next and not just try to figure it out once you get there is very important. So partnership, relationships, very important. I can't stress that enough. So make sure, whoever you bank with, make sure you schedule time with your business bankers and really talk to them about your business and, and what have they seen that can help your business. Just so much they can offer. Try to think anything else out. And I guess there's so much information you can share from a one-off. So I do advise you guys to, you have myself, you have a whole panel of bankers here, so share your specific situation and get some quick notes and quick detail as far as how the banks can help you in your business. It's an important part. A lot of people like to try to do it without banks. Don't try. That's my advice. Work with your bank and to be successful.
Finemark National Bank and Trust. Finemark is a local bank headquartered right here in Fort Myers. We're on the corner of College and Winkler. And I've been with the bank for 4 years, and my role is to promote the bank for community outreach, in particular with helping small businesses. And I know, you are all experts in what you do. You all have chosen an industry or a skill and decided, this is what I want to do to make my living. And then you realize, I've got to run this whole business. I've got to, work from the startup part to investing and inventory and marketing, and then, once you start getting receivables, then you have to think about how you're going to grow. So, like my colleague said, working with a bank is about truly developing a relationship, and it's not just the loan or the line of credit, but it's the true relationship. Like Lee said, it's, once we know you and, trust you, I've seen, your accounts and how that all, has gone well. We pride ourselves on having very quick turnaround, really quick answers, because we're a local bank. Whoever you meet with is the person who's going to be handling your account or your loan. And really wanted to honor all that you are doing to develop your business plan and your business strategy. I think, are most of you working with SBDC, like Suzanne's group, or with SCORE is another one of the retired executives, and of course Lee Ford's group has stepped up with a lot of mentoring events like this, and helping with loans during the disaster, as did SBDC. And our goal is really to make you feel empowered. For a lot of us, finances, they're very subjective, they're very personal, especially like when you start a business, you're not only saying, here's what I want my business to be, but here's everything about my personal, finances, because usually in a startup, you're guaranteeing it with your own personal revenue, or, you might have put some, expenses on your credit card, which is earning 24% interest or whatever. So a banker can really step in and think, how can you work efficiently? How can you reduce that interest rate? How can you lower your fees? How can you become, really using online banking for not just the efficiency of it, but also for things like fraud protection. You'd be surprised how much we create fraud alerts regularly. I'm sure all of my colleagues do, because you want to make sure that all your authorized signers are verified and up to date, and when you see your banker say, oh, this person retired or this person moved, and think, oh, I need to remove them from the account. Things like that, where you really have a personal relationship with your bank. And so controlling risk like that is part of how a bank helps you. And just speaking for Finemark, we're set in all industries. We don't have a specific industry. Our team is well versed in all the local businesses here, and all amounts. You'd be surprised. I know it's probably kind of intimidating to take that first step with a bank. You're thinking maybe I just need $10,000 or whatever, as opposed to 50 or 100. And we're like, no. We want to work with you what you need. And as a startup, you might just need a few thousand, and we'll work with you and help you grow, and help keep you what's feasible for that, and really personalize our approach. We're more flexible than other banks because we keep all of our loans at the bank. We don't sell them. So, so working with technology is also another way that banks can help you. How many of you use online banking or mobile banking? That's a really empowering way. And even I teach a lot of junior achievement as well, and I say you can open multiple accounts. You don't need like one account. It's like, okay, maybe I need my taxes or something separate, and then I need my receivables separate, or I need my payroll separate. we got you. You know, we'll set it up however you need. So that's the kind of things that, you know, when we listen to you and really understand your strategy. And I'll end by saying we generally work with Suzanne's, with SBDC, on a mutual relationship. So usually SBDC will mentor and fund a startup, which we describe as less than 2 years in business. So once you reach the 2-year mark, then you're generally, you know, what a banker would consider, you know, you can lend. And I brought some handouts. One is called 50 Questions Your Business Plan Should Answer, which likely you've gone over with SBDC, but when I read it, it sounded like the questions a lender or a business account owner, especially a lender, would ask you as, you know, they're determining if you're ready for a loan. And then here's one about setting up business banking accounts, being aware of fees and, you know, account interest rates and things like that. So I'd be happy to share these with you and welcome you to explore what Flymark has to offer.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Greg Blurton. I'm with Edison National Bank and Bank of the Islands. We are local to Lee County. We celebrated our 25th anniversary last year, so we're in year 26. Our main office, where most of us work, is located off of 41 near Daniels, near the Bell Tower. Mission Barbecue, that area right there. We have our downtown office on 1st Street in Monroe, and we have an office on Sanibel and an office on Captiva. Just to get an idea of you know, you getting to know us, getting to know you, how many of you consider yourself a startup? Your business is less than 2 years old? A few of you? How many of you in the room are businesses older than 2 years? Okay, and how many of you are thinking about it? Okay, so most of you have been established at least 2-ish years or more. So you know, you had the last meeting that when you came together, you had met and were introduced to attorneys. You know, the purpose of this program is you, your family, and your family also being your business are in the center, and your circle of professional people, mentors, what have you. You know, your banker is one of those people that you should fill your circle with. Attorneys, definitely. Benefit with your banker is we don't charge you by the hour for your research, you know, to answer questions. The key words I'd say that you've heard so far is relationships and resource. Relationships, definitely, and I'll build on what Ernest had mentioned. You know, during COVID, whether it was PPP loans, all the different programs that you have that the government was sending our way and still has available. You know, when times are tough, whether it's a hurricane, whether it's a pandemic, whether it's a recession, the more that you have a good relationship with your professional circle of people, the better off you will be. I'm not saying that any one of us will be the end-all be-all and get, you know, you past any type of hurdle, what have you, but it is all about relationships. That's how your business survives. That's how we as bankers survive in our banks. That's how any law firm, CPA firm, or what have you survives. It's all about relationships. And the more that we know about you and your goals and what you're trying to accomplish, and vice versa, the better off that it is. So, you know, as as you're starting out or want to, you know, learn more about what is the next step, you know, Lee made the point. You know, it's always better to not walk in, you know, just cold and say, I'm looking for, you know, a line of credit. Or I want to buy a piece of property. It is a process to go through and understand your business and your ability to repay a loan, credit, what have you. You know, and I'll even step back further. The banking world is a small world as well too. We all know each other. Whether we're serving on Horizon Council together or we're doing programs like this with Lee for the Southwest Florida Impact Partners, with Karina and Jill and myself. We run into each other all the time, and I say that because the bank that you're with today may not be the bank that you're with 10 years from now, because you may outgrow the bank that you're with, or you may need a situation with your business or a product or a service that there is a bank or a banker that has that specialty. And so we do talk to each other and we do refer to each other. Businesses that, you know, maybe they can serve you better than us, because at the end of the day, we want to be a good resource for you. We want to get you to where you're going. And again, it's a joke that we don't charge by the hour, but it means the world to me, and I can speak for my colleagues here, that when you come in and you just want to talk about what's going on, or you need you know, a next step, or here I'm having this issue, it makes a world of difference, relationships. I heard it mentioned, I think maybe Jill, when she talked about fraud. You are all business owners, you write checks, you deposit checks, you maybe do remote deposit or mobile scan, you know, mobile deposits, what have you. The technology is wonderful, but there is a ton of fraud out there. And that goes back to relationships. The more that you know your banker, whether it's, you know, the person that you walk into the branch and work with every day when you're making your deposits, or your lender that you're talking to, you know, when something is going on, that you're able to pick up that phone and talk to that person that you know and say, you know, hey, this check bounced, or hey, I think I've been compromised. Maybe that's not what you were expecting to hear. Wanted to say it because it is crazy out there, and we are getting more and more conservative on a lot of things as it relates to wires, checks, remote deposit, because we won't bring it too far behind the curtain, but it's crazy out there. From a fraud perspective. So keep that in mind, and that goes back to you with your businesses and relationships. Know your customer, and just like we do our best to know ours. So.
Are you giving out autographs later?
First time ever happened, right?
I was outside most of this weekend. My face was already red. Yes, that's just interesting timing, Karen.
He hates me for that.
No.
All right. My name is Matt Antonucci. I'm from Bank of America. I can't sit still, so if you don't mind me standing up. With my team meetings, usually I start with a corny joke. So if you're okay with that, what did the lumberjack say to the talking tree? You're gonna die a lot. I know, they're corny. I said they're corny. All right, so my name is Matt Antonucci. I'm a small business market leader for Southwest Florida for Bank of America. So I actually cover a series of business solutions advisors from the Sarasota marketplace, a little north of Riverview, down to Naples. However, I am part of that client team. So whether you're working with one of my ESAs, as they're called, or a small business banker out in the field, I'm part of the package. So hopefully you like what I have to say. I grew up in a small business family. So my father was an entrepreneur. He couldn't work with I wouldn't say he couldn't work with other people. He didn't want to work under other people. So he ended up starting his own business. So as a child, I got to see kind of the ups and downs of that, whether or not we were going to go on vacation, depending on how the business went. So it's impactful to understand that he was also successful in his business, but not always present. So as I was growing up, I kind of looked at ways of how the business was operating. I got to be in the office from time to time, and I just think of how things have changed so much. So I'm looking at the pen that they gave us, and the pen has a stylus tip. And 10 years ago, you wouldn't really find a pen with a stylus tip too often, which means that we are increasingly becoming more digital. So with that, the businesses have to grow. We just had a conversation about if you're not online, you don't exist. I think that that's very prevalent. But as the panel had stated today, you know, the way that you develop and you change is by getting that advice, that trusted advice. Businesses fail for two reasons. It's either lack of capital or lack of advice, right? Who here has ever hired a consultant for business, marketing, anything of that nature? Okay. Or you've probably thought about it, or you're just trying to build that in. You have an excellent panel of consultants.
Excuse me?
Yes.
You said business fail for two reasons, lack of capital and what's the second?
Lack of advice.
Or
Lack of advice. So if you think about it, you're hiring a business consultant or something of that nature, there's a lot of experience that you're going to get from your banker, regardless of which bank you're choosing, okay? Definitely stop in there with your growth plans, your ideas. You know, how do I get more clients? How do I get people to pay me faster? They're going to have ideas. Me personally, I don't come from a finance background. So I came from retail sales to door-to-door sales, and then I was in advertising, and then I became a banker. Those other experiences helped me dramatically to go inside of a business and help them work on the business, not in the business. And that is a big difference that you get when you partner with a really strong banker. Now, talking about Bank of America, when you do become a partner with Bank of America, and that could be either you start a relationship with them formally through depository, or you just utilize some of our programs that we have, you are getting access to some incredible advice. I will say that if you're starting up, Karina had just mentioned, there's actually a QR code that's going to be sitting over here. But if you have a pen, why don't you write this down? It's go.bofa.com/education. That's a free live workshop for small businesses. Absolutely. So it's go.bofa.com/education. So utilize that resource, utilize the resources of your banker. And with Bank of America, if you do walk into the financial center and you go see one of the business solutions advisors, please take my card before you leave. Email me. I'll link you up with somebody local. You're not only going to get that, we look at you from a holistic perspective. So from your personal goals, your asset management, your investment, buying a house, what have you, it's all under one roof. We do that on purpose, from starting out to significance, whatever that means to you. So you have a great source of a great panel of resources. Nobody's better than one or other. Just make sure that you're utilizing the resources. Thank you.
Oh, you guys are good. It's twice as much as you all here than there are bankers. Debbie, you over here making a mess on the, I'm just kidding.
That little guy.
Oh, the dog.
Yeah.
Missy?
The little guy like Chick-fil-A.
No, that's a she. And she walks around here inspecting everybody's office and just checking them, and then she comes in today, she will hustle Chick-fil-A. I'm gonna leave that alone. First of all, before I go any further, thank you all. What I started to say was, the bankers took longer, and there's a lot less of them than you guys. The lawyers, I'm sorry. I want to introduce someone and let her say a few words. This is Phyllis Calloway. She's the executive director here of the Enterprise Center, our host.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you all so much. I feel rich being in front of all of these bankers today. Thank you all so much for taking your time. Here at the Enterprise Center, we are doing our very best to promote small businesses, develop them, and to grow them out of the incubator into the real world. So with you all's assistance and your guidelines and your information that you provided with the knowledge that they've given us all today, I'm quite sure that we've taken a level up. So I just wanted to take the time to just say thank you. Sorry I was late, had to go down to City Hall today, but I really thank all of you for being here. And again, you all are welcome here anytime if you'd like to meet with us one-on-one. If any of the incubator participants would like to schedule something, I'm sure you'll have their contact information. We can make it available for you all to come back, because personal banking, personal relationships with bankers is probably one of the most important things that you can have in a business. I know that because I started a long, long time ago. Thank you all again. I'm not going to take up any more time. And yes, they have been timely. Huh?
Yeah, I can't believe it, man.
All right. Back to Mr. Ford. Thank you all.
Before we get into the questions, the only reason I'm doing it this way is because I experienced you folks the last time. And once we start that, it's like you might not get anything else in for the rest of the day until it's over. So while I do have this opportunity, I have a young lady here before me that I want to introduce her to you. She is a businesswoman herself. She is a business, I started to say magazine, but paper. And I'm going to let Ms. Moore introduce herself to you and all the engagements she's in that connects to you, because she's very key in a group here in Lee County that's very important to every one of you here in this room when it comes to business.
Wow, what an introduction. Thank you, Lee, for that great introduction.
Oh, that was great.
That was great.
They still don't know your name.
I don't know. Well, that's good. See, he didn't even introduce my name. So I will tell you my name. I've already handed out my card to some of you guys. Karen Moore, and I publish, own, and I started Southwest Florida Business Today newspaper, which Lee allowed me to pass out to all of you guys. And I started it 16 years ago with the help of the SBDC, so there's my shout out to the SBDC. Suzanne probably didn't think I'd be here 16 years later because I was just like many of you, financially struggling. I started in 2007, I had great credit and there was no credit to be had because it was the start of the recession. So I had to figure out a different way to do that. So I've done banking, I'm looking at the bankers up here and I'm going, I've done banking with 2 large institutions here, and I've done banking with one institution that isn't here today, and I've worked with one of the small community banks, definitely on this panel, and another small bank that is not here today. So the reason why I bring that up is what they just said. You have to have relationships, and your needs may change. Somebody in particular said, your needs may change. 16 years ago, my needs were very different as a business owner than they are today. 15 years ago, again, I was a lot closer to you guys. I'm probably not too much farther from there right now, but no, it's continued to grow, and mainly it's keeping up with the growth. And I've been talking about maybe it's time for me to change a bank, change my bank, maybe I need to change my CPA because my business needs have changed. And we get comfortable with our relationships and it's hard to change, but you got to do those changes for your business. So my newspaper, the purpose is to help small business owners run their business better, period. That's what we do. So every bit of content in here is here to help you be better informed and to help you run your business better. We are, I like to say to people, we're out there, we're just not everywhere, so you may or may not see the newspaper. We are primarily in places where business owners go during the course of their business day. So you won't see us at chain restaurants, you won't see us at Publix, you won't see us at most chain anything. We're at individually owned breakfast places, restaurants, we're at banks, as many banks as we can get into, and we also are in printers and attorneys' offices and CPA offices, all of those that serve the local business owner. So that's where you're going to find us. We also have old-fashioned subscriptions. I can mail this to you as well. And it's also online, available at no charge. We have the digital version of the paper up there every month. So that's what we're here for, and I also, our secret sauce is that we offer guest column opportunities to local business owners. It costs you nothing. I have today an advertiser in the room. Where's Albert at? Where did he go? Oh, there he is. Like, where'd he go? Albert has, I think we might even have him in this issue. He was a guest columnist. He is also an advertiser, so he's on page 2 with his bow tie, and that guest column runs at no charge. And you don't have to be an advertiser to get published. Advertisers do get priority, so that's probably why you got page 2. There we go. But we offer that opportunity. There's no strings attached, so if you want more information on that, let me know. So that is our main purpose here. And the third reason, and pretty soon Lee's going to give me the hook here because I told him I'd probably talk way longer than he wanted me to. But the third reason I'm here today is Lee and I met. Lucky for me, I got to meet Lee because of our involvement with the Horizon Council, which it's the Lee County Horizon Council, is an advisory board to our county commissioners. And so it's a direct pipeline to the ears of the county commissioners. And on the Horizon Council, I serve as a committee chair. And one of the committee that I serve as the chair for last year and now this year, they've renewed me another year, is inclusion and diversity. And that has, we only have 3 committees on the Horizon Council. Inclusion and diversity, that committee was created because that's becoming a more and more relevant and important issue to, or topic to get attention. So we have that committee, and we also have, due to that committee, last year for the first time, the Horizon Council gives out business awards every year called the Industry Appreciation Awards. And last year for the first time, we were able to give out an Inclusion and Diversity Business Award. And we are going to be opening the nominations for businesses, inclusion and diversity businesses of all sizes. That'll be opening on May 19th, and it will go through, the application period is through June 15th. And I am totally open to helping any of you, once that opens, to help you fill out your application. And I've recused myself as a judge, meaning I've excused myself to judging the applications this year because I want to be able to help people fill out those applications, because we want our diverse businesses to participate and to be recognized. And I want to help in any way possible, because sometimes an application process, I think you guys know this, right? An application process is sometimes not easy, right? Sometimes it's rather challenging to fill out an application. So, and that goes for all across the board in business. So I will also want to make sure you guys know I will help you to fill out those applications. And when those applications are open, I'll make sure Lee has access to that. We'll share the link with you, and we'll get that information out to you. Did I do okay, Lee?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now, questions? Okay, Ms. Sharita and Ms. Brian, hey, Brian stood up, but you had your hand up first.
You want to go?
Go ahead.
I got a question. I wrote them down. You might want to go first.
I'll go first.
Yeah, you good, you good.
So thank you guys so much for being here. My name is Sharita Davis. I'm actually the owner of Roses from Concrete Public Relations. And one thing that you guys all touched base on was about partnerships and community involvement. So I can speak on behalf of FineMark because I'm also a board member for Just for Success. And you guys have done a lot with the League Club with the breakfast briefcase, and you also are a partner for our Wheaties program. So I would like to say thank you for that community partnership.
All right, we're writing lots of questions. All right, it's for anybody that can help out in increasing difficulty, I think. The first question is actually a simple question. It's elementary, I think, and I don't know the answer to, so forgive me for that. My name is Brian Franklin. My name is Brian Franklin. I own 2 companies in the area, one being an insurance, independent insurance broker agency. I do life, health, and Medicare. My other business is Golf Coast Leisure. We host poetry, art, and community events, bringing diverse communities in Southwest Florida together for over 10 years for the arts and entertainment. And we also will host your event if you guys have any grand openings coming up for any small businesses. So the relationship that I've built with bankers or with banks over time has been very casual. I'd like to get to know people, but it seems very transactional. I do whatever I need to do. I get the product I need. One being, in one of my businesses, we use a POS system. And you know, with one bank is a third-party company, another bank it was in-house. But regardless, I hear a lot from these different TikTok and YouTube videos about businesses. You should have a relationship with your banker, but I never really knew what a banker was. You guys all had different titles, right? So if I'm talking to a teller, am I talking to a banker? I heard the title business specialist. I heard all these different names. So, okay, what does it mean to have a banker? What is an actual banker? What title matches to that? That's my first question. So anybody?
I would take it. So you actually touched on a very important point because different banks have different titles, so it can get confusing. So the point I want to make to solve that, it's important for the bank to know your business, but it's also important for you to know your bank and ask those questions of your bank to make sure you understand who they are, what role they play in the chain, and also just how the bank works. So I guess I recommend to make sure you're asking a lot of questions. Like someone said, we're not paid by the hour, so you can ask questions for hours, it's fine. But yeah, they do have different roles. I will say we have bankers that sit in our locations. I think everyone on the panel has individual locations. I would always say that's a good place to start. You know, you have the people that sit in the locations. Start to talk to them, tell them what your story is and how your business runs, and then they will make sure that you are paired up with the right person in the bank to support your business.
It seemed to me that many of you had territories that stretch from Naples all the way to, you know, Port Charlotte or wherever, Sarasota. So how does one create a relationship with someone that has, you know, all these different locations and territories?
So for me, on my side, I actually head up commercial bankers. So so I'm not the day-to-day, but we do have like 31 branch locations within. So it's always go to what's close to you, because you never want to go to where a banker is. Like if you have a banker in Sarasota, you don't want to follow them to Sarasota. You want to go to the one that's close to you.
Okay, my next question for you.
Well, can I add something? One of the things that I want to just not talk about Wells Fargo, I think so in general banking is changing tremendously. When I started my career 20 plus years ago, I would say teller was a teller, and the teller just processed transactions. And banker was banker, just sitting and opening accounts. And if you need more something complex, you just call and just find out what's going on. In these days, I know in other banks, and I know Wells Fargo is changing all the relationship with us. We want to, because for example, one of the things, 80% of our customers is come over to the teller line. And it's by fact, every branch, doesn't matter which branch location or anything, we want to approach these customers in our teller line and tell them, hey, we are training these tellers to see and discover the needs that they need. Because if the teller doesn't realize that, for example, we are charging a fee, or the business banking is struggling because they overdraft the account or anything. In all banks, we are training from the teller to be a banker. We want to try to not make a difference between if you come over and talk to one of my tellers, can see the relationship, the history, can see what's going on in your business. And I start asking questions. Of course, they don't have so much knowledge about the specialty bankers, but at least they know and they realize you are in trouble. Hey, you need to talk to a business banker. This is something that you need. So it's not just process the transaction, because process the transaction, we are not helping in this business. So we are working really hard, and like I say, I'm not talking only for a Wells Fargo. I'm talking about other banking in this today, with the mobile banking, with features, tools, or anything. It's been changing tremendously.
So they cross-train, thank you.
Can I add that? Just one here. I'm Sarah Tarr with Truist, and I am on our retail banking side, and I have two fabulous, you're a gentleman and a scholar, thank you. Two fabulous people that I support on the retail side of it. And I started my career in retail banking, so I was the face in the branch with all those different dynamics going on. What's shifting? I have a territory that runs from Tampa to Lee County, and I'm one person, and I'm not driving here, there, here, there. So a lot of the technology changes and advances in our world have allowed me to build relationships and be very accessible. So what does that look like? Joel identifies a client where they really need to talk to Sarah to grow their business. They're in growth mode, they need working capital, they don't understand the point of sale software, like what do I do? Joel says, great, I'm gonna introduce you to Sarah, she's my business banker, and she's gonna call you and come up with a plan. And you and I have dialogue about, tell me about your business. How'd you get started? Why did you choose that channel of insurance? You know, how is inflation impacting your bottom line? Well, what are you gonna do the next 3 to 7 years? Are you thinking about phasing that business out? Well, tell me more about the other side of this business. And that's how we begin our relationship. It's not, again, transactional, it's not products, it's about tell me your story. So as business owners, being able to share your story, your passion, why you got started, and how the bankers in the room can really take you to the next level is imperative. But don't be afraid of that virtual consensus. And I think from a bottom line for most banks, you know, there's only so many of us to go around. You know, they're not going to have business makers necessarily in every single branch. And I speak with big guys because I know we're all in the same structure today. But it's about those relationships. And if you don't give me a lot to go off of and you say, well, I have insurance, and I keep prying and prying, that relationship, it's going to be hard to understand what value I can add to your business.
Does banking have an opportunity to chat with bankers? Is that a thing? Like, can you chat with the banker?
Online?
Like, for example, for Lee Health, my doctor through my chart, if I don't see him, I can just shoot a message. And
We do have
so
chat
do y'all have like
features.
a banker version of
Send
that?
us a text message.
I can send you a text? Hey, okay, cool.
Text me later.
Text me later.
But to that
Email,
point, it's how you tell your story, right? And a lot of times the branches are going to be the foundation of where that relationship begins. And I would say that 90% of all the bankers in this room will agree that we're teaching our tellers, our bankers, our branch leaders how to identify and get you to the right person. And then that's where that relationship and communication begins, and then we kind of figure out what you need and the specialists that you need to support your business. Thank you.
Am I allowed to?
Go ahead.
I got, all right, I see the time, I'm gonna cut it down just to two. I'm gonna take away two more on top of the one I just did. The next one, what out of this would be for anyone who could answer, what typical misstep do you see that small businesses, something that, hey, I wish I could have got to them earlier to stop this from happening in your industry? I know in my industry there's certain things that I wish my clients knew before that would have like solved certain headaches or avoided this to be the case. Is there any advice you can give to say, I see this quite often, if you do this before, or this is how you get ready to have an appropriate relationship with your bank?
So I can take that one. I think it's first and foremost, we know that your time is just as valuable as any time spent by any business owner or banker, and it's taking the time. So building those relationships that help us understand your business, and every little piece that changes along the way, going into your bank, emailing your banker, set an appointment, or even just emailing them, I'm dealing with this stressor, this is impacting my business, and then either we can just quickly like, hey, this is the redeck, this is what we need to do for you, or we can say, hey, that's a lot, that's a bigger conversation, let's have you come in and sit down and really help understanding like what created the shift, what created that. And I think one thing that's huge for small business owners, you just don't have time. You don't have time to fit it all in, right? There's kids, there's families, there's everything that happens with small business owners. And it's really just making sure that you take the time to invest in your business as well and get that advice and get that knowledge from us. Because to your point, there's stuff in our world that we all know about, that we know can help you. But if you don't take the time to have that relationship and tell us what stressors you're facing, we don't know how to make that recommendation for you.
So communicate.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have at Truist a great program. It's all about financial insights. And so it's a product that we can, or a solution that we can show you that really just gives you an industry read of your particular business, and really just see what the pros and cons are, and we can help you guide using that insight to, anticipate, any missteps and correct those as you're growing. So reach out to us.
I deal with Truist. I feel Truist is a partner.
Perfect.
100%. However, I also know from being in business before and older, maybe in life, with experience, that sometimes the person, your banker, isn't the most knowledgeable person for you. And so maybe you need you.
Yes.
Right? Instead. So how do we move through the system that you already have, or maybe even to another banking system, a bank that maybe provides the resources you really need? How do we get through that without offending folks' egos and you know what I'm saying?
I think communication and transparency is huge, right? So we know, and I'm sure everybody on the panel, we all have partners. So if there is something that I can't help you with, you can't be afraid to hurt my feelings by saying like, I don't like your answer. Like, that's not the answer I'm looking for. And that's okay. And maybe I'm misunderstanding what your goal is, or maybe I'm misunderstanding. So you can't be afraid to say, hey, I don't really think this is working out. Is there somebody else that would be able to help me with this? And I can introduce you to Sarah. I can individually reach out to a partner of mine to say, hey, you know, we've reached this roadblock, what can I do? And I think having a big panel, I think somebody said on it, you know, even interchangeably when there's different experts that you can work with, but definitely don't be afraid to hurt my feelings. I do this for a living, so trust me. We all make mistakes. We all don't know every single answer. It's about having the tools, resources, the people that I can reach out to make sure I get your answer.
So I'm looking for specific help. I love partnership, right? That's what I need in a banker. I've grown tremendously in the last year and a half. And if I don't get with a good banker with sound advice, I'm not so sure how successful I'm going to be because of the opportunities and possibilities that are right in front of my face.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
So I need real help, and that's why I'm here, and I'm looking at all of y'all.
You got 3 of us. We got you. Here's my card. Here's my card.
Yeah. So,
all you gotta do is call.
There you go. That's an example. But I think ultimately we all. So I cover a team of bankers, right? So my goal is to have them be competent, but if they need help, to be there as a backup. So don't be afraid if in the moment you need backup to ask for the manager, to ask for another level to come in to the conversation, because it's always a learning experience for us. And I think that if you ask that question, if you provide that vulnerability to say, look, really like you, want to keep working with you, I just feel like this may be out of your realm. Is there any way that we could bring a partner in? They're going to. If they're not, then you kind of know your answer as to whether you need to move around or look for alternate resources. That's what I would say for a direct tomorrow, something you can do.
And because this is business, I would say get references. Other people that use banks, figure out who's good and who's not, and get references to call bankers.
I want to add something is the beauty of this country, you have so many choices. And so many choices, maybe you don't like the strawberry cake, let's go to the peach cake. I will say, to be in this business for a long time, I can tell you a lot of customers, they can get frustrated because they don't get the way that they want to handle. But sometimes customer doesn't realize that that's not the right venue to go there. One of the things that I can tell you as a business owner, it's hard. It has to receive the news that we cannot help you, sorry, let me see what can we do, we don't have the resources, we don't have anything. But it's for a reason. I will say partner with the community partner like SDBC. That would be a great resource for you to say, I'm not going anywhere. Let's go partner with the SCORE. Because the SCORE, for example, they have all entrepreneurs, business owners that in the past they are in the same situation than you. Maybe they can give you an advice. But again, any bank, they can offer whatever they can. I know if you don't feel comfortable with your business, move on and go with the next buy. I say that, and I'm honest with you. Sometimes one bank, they cannot fit in your business, but other bank, they can fit in your business. But everything is built, relationship from the beginning, be honest, communication, spend time with them, make sure that you give all the information to that banker, then sit it with you and take the time. That would be my best advice for that. Felix, I think so. Sorry.
We got it. Well, go ahead. Well, wait a minute. Go ahead.
I was going to advise to almost think of the meeting with the bank as an interview. Okay. That, for example, yesterday we met with a local realtor who specializes in healthcare real estate. So he helps doctors and dentists find real estate, and we spent an hour with two of the senior lenders, the chief credit officer and a senior lender, and talked about how FineMark has experience in this particular area. We have examples of other doctors and dentists that we've helped, and where we've been honest, and sometimes they're not at the point of being able to grow, or they need to wait to grow, and we're honest about that. We're not saying, yes, 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 rubber stamp, here's your money. It's like, let's get to really know you, because we want you to be successful, and we want to know your story. So really approach it as an interview, and if they have examples of their industries, of e-commerce and art, and most people can kind of talk around that, but you want to kind of like bullseye someone. Oh yeah, I helped someone in that same arena, very similar arena, and these were the ways we helped in terms of, for example, e-commerce. You have all those online payments and the fraud protection or things like that. So don't really don't be afraid to ask for references or specific examples, and just shop around. It's all about that.
Yeah.
Okay, we had two hands. We had Joanne, we had Phyllis. Was it somebody else?
Somebody else or me?
Go.
Pleasant good day. Thank you all for coming. My name is Joanne Thomas Joseph. I'm the owner-operator of Joanne LSC, which is basically a business consultant services that helps small businesses succeed by helping them get credentials for government contracts. And the other thing we do is we are a government contractor providing life scan services for level 2 background screening. And that was, I just have one comment and one kudo. My comment is I'd like to meet all of you all, because I'm always looking for new relationships, and bankers are definitely bankers, CPAs, and also attorneys are always on the top of my list. So my comment, my question, my kudo, that was my comment. My kudo is it's the Bank of America. Just want to say Bank of America, after having a relationship with them for about 2 years, almost 2 years, they gave me my first equipment loan of over $100,000. So thank you, Bank of America, for doing small business in our local community. Totally appreciate it, and that's not the only thing. But the other two that also stepped up to the plate was American Express and Citibank, and I just want to say thank you. But I'm always looking for more partners, so I'm meeting all of you before the end of the day. Thank you.
I just would like the panel to kind of talk about a little bit, when is a good time for a new business to establish a line of credit?
So establishing a line of credit, is everybody familiar with what a line of credit is? And if you don't, that's fine, that's why we're here. Does everybody know what a line of credit is?
Go ahead.
Typically, a line of credit is a short-term loan. And its primary purpose, for the most part, and not all of them work this way for one reason or another, but it's a short-term loan to help a business sustain itself through, when they're extremely busy. They may not need that line of credit, but it's really, when you are slower, whether it be the summer months, seasonal, what have you, your cash flow cycle, revenue's coming in, expenses are going out, you got to meet payroll, and sometimes the income that's coming in may not be enough to cover the expenses of your business, and that's where a line of credit can come in to help fund that shortage, and then when revenue does come in, you pay it down. And normally a line of credit is at a 1 year period. We call it a revolving line of credit. It's established for a year, and you and your bank review and renew it on an annual basis based on how you're doing. So when a business wants to establish a line of credit, it kind of, I think we hit that right out of the gate, is the worst time, or the not ideal time to do that is just walk into a bank you've never stepped into before and say, hey, I need to talk to a lender, I need a line of credit. Because the first question I'm going to ask you is, where do you bank right now? Because I know that you're not banking with us. And then I just want to understand why, and have you talked to somebody there? Because most of the time, even if you have a transactional relationship with them, they do know you, they have history about you. And like I said before, we all know each other. And I can spend time with you and understand why you need a line of credit, go through that process, what that looks like. And if you are at Regions, just give Ernest a call and say, hey, I've got Brian here, and we're talking about this, and refer you back. Or it may be a situation where you've only had a transaction relationship and you really are looking to establish a new relationship. And so then we can go through that. There's there's a saying, don't go, it's always good to try and establish, credit or a loan when you don't need it than when you got to have it because you're in a hurry. You need something, maybe something crucial to your business. You just got a big contract and you've got no money whatsoever to buy the inventory or whatever you're going to need to fulfill this order. It's not ideal. Can it happen? Yes, it could happen, but that's not an ideal time. As engaged, what life cycle of your business are you in? Most of you are 5 years or less. If you haven't gone to the Small Business Development Center, you've heard that acronym, SBDC. It's at FGCU. It is an organization that's been here for a very long time, and a lot of their services, if not all of them, are free of charge. And they are business experts, they're former lenders, former bankers, consultants that will spend all the time that they can with you and all the time that you can with them to get you from your starting point, just your idea, to then making that introduction. It goes a very long way when you have someone like Suzanne or her team call you and say, Greg, I've got ABC Business and Mr. and Mrs. Johnson that have this business, and we've got a business plan in place, we've got financials, we've got history, we've got everything it is that they want to do. We've even come up with some loan structures for you. That helps a tremendous amount. But sometimes life moves very fast. I think we've all asked each other today when we greet, so how are you? And what's the number one answer? Busy. Busy. And some of you are still recovering. Maybe your business got hurt or your home, is still hurt. So time is just as valuable as money. But even, so if you even have a situation come up and you have to have a loan or a line of credit, it's never too late to start that relationship. And it may be a situation where, we may not be able to do this loan for you right now, but here's the steps that we can take together to get you to this point one day. Or here are some other alternatives. Like I said, the banking world is very small. We all know each other personally and professionally. And I absolutely have had those conversations, spent months of time with a customer that I ultimately say, you know what, I need to introduce you to Ernest, or I need to introduce you to Kevin, or I need to introduce you to Jill, because I know they have this particular expertise, or it may be out of a location where we can't service you because it's in Charlotte County, way deep in Charlotte County or in Collier County, because we're primarily here in Lake County. That was a long answer. Right?
Yes. But you gave me enough time to think about my answer, so that was good. So I would just say 2 years in business and profitable. That's when most banks will open up a line of credit for you. I do think you start conversations before 2 years. That's the important thing. And then also go in asking a lot of questions, because you might say I want a line, but it might be something else you need. You might need an equipment loan and a line, so we ask for advice. Tell them what you're looking to do. Are you looking to buy a piece of equipment? Are you looking to cover a slow period because you're seasonal? Let them know what you're looking to do, because they might see a solution that you might not see. For example, you just paid cash for something that you really should have financed, and then you wouldn't need a line because you would have the cash in your banking account. So I guess the short to that is I would say 2 years is profitable. But make sure you ask questions to get advice.
I wanted to add too, just to that, because there is kind of that 2-year honey spot. There's a lot you could do to be proactive about getting there too. So using a solution like a small business credit card, especially when you're building that relationship with a bank, then maybe you have, a lot of the banks will give you a small business credit and you're already building credit. So when you do get to that 2-year mark, you have 2 years of steady payments that you're doing with your bank. So it really kind of sets the tone for this is something already established, and helps a lot with the process when we are ready to move into the next step of some kind of loan or line of credit.
I'm going to say one last thing, and understanding when you, no, I was done, but understanding how banks set limits, because every bank's going to be different. So depending on your business, you need to understand how the banks set their limits. Whether they're using a calculation of 85% of your accounts receivable or 50% of your inventory, or they're using a calculation of, your your profitability times 2, whatever the case may be. But understanding how they set the limits, then you'll know how your line will grow with them before actually needing it. So.
I can just add on that really quick. It actually ties back to Brian's question earlier. Something that I would recommend a business owner pay attention to up front is going to be cash flow, specifically like sitting down and understanding where your gaps could potentially be. You know, my wife's starting up a soap business right now, and like she's just starting, pre-revenue, nothing. But what we're talking about is, okay, well, what's your expenditure? How long is it going to take for you to get that money back? It's very rudimentary, but as you grow, the numbers just get bigger, but the problem's still the same. So the line of credit ties into that, the small business credit cards tie into that. But really, I would say, as a business owner, make sure you're doing that at least quarterly and evaluating based on the seasons. If you're a contractor, hurricane season should be making you think, what happened last year when I couldn't work for a week? Okay, how did I pay my people? Did I have to take out a line of credit on my house? Those are things you're going to have to determine later on, and that's where these conversations help you ahead of time.
Susan?
I appreciate all the kudos for the Small Business Development Center. We do consult small business owners for free, and we have a variety of consultants available. My question is, with the Fed raising interest rates and that affecting small business owners' loans and lines, are banks getting more conservative in their underwriting, or are they maybe getting a little too conservative? What's your viewpoint regarding credit availability for our small businesses in Southwest Florida?
I think overall, yes. I think we're all just personally, just kind of wondering, what the future holds, whether it's, recession. We have gone through COVID, gotten on the other side of it for the most part, and then we got whacked with a hurricane. And if you're not on the islands or on Fort Myers Beach or in some of the areas inland that just got tremendously flooded, we're pretty much back to normal, in a majority of Lee County, but there's still a lot of the county, especially the coastal areas, that it's going to be years. It's going to be years. And so from the Bank of the Islands perspective, us and Sanibel Captiva Community Bank, Wells Fargo, I mean, there are banks on the islands that are just, we're just in it every day, working through that. And so, if I am wanting to start a brand new hospitality business on Sanibel and open tomorrow, we'll probably say, probably need to rethink this, because there's really not many people that are living on the island full time right now. So I use that as a far example on one side. The interest rates have gone up, and where the interest rates are now is where they were when I started in the early 2000s, and right before COVID. They were a little lower than where we are right now. And I say that historically speaking, we went to a level of low interest rates that none of us have ever experienced in any of our lifetimes, our parents' lifetimes, anything. It's unprecedented. And so, obviously, when you go up over 4% in a year and a half change, that everybody kind of goes, oh, okay, it takes pause, especially if you have existing loans and your rate's continually changing. Because there are loans where your rate will change as whatever index or whatever starting rate or rate your bank is using. So there gives a little bit of a, okay, let's see how that affects your business, affects your cash flow. And that's where it goes back to relationships, because your business may be fine and taking it. But you may be also struggling, and that's where it goes, having that conversation, being proactive about it. Don't put blinders on, put your head in the sand and saying, oh my gosh, now my monthly payment, principal and interest, or whatever it is it's getting very, very tight. Have that conversation as soon as you start feeling that pinch. In general, I would say from our perspective, if you are looking for just 100% investment property, depending upon what that is, I think that's kind of, I think a lot of banks and lenders are kind of putting the brakes on 100% investment property. So what does that mean? Part of your business is you're buying real estate and you're not occupying any of it. You're trying to get people to lease or to occupy that space. or you're just looking to invest in property and flip it the next day or the next year, what have you. A lot of that in any of these kind of cycles of possible recession and rising interest rates, it gives banks and lenders pause. But if you're here, you're local, you're established, you have a plan in place, you have your relationship, and I will say there are a lot of businesses, to your point, that are expanding and are doing very, very well. Today's interest rates are not. They're not what they were in the late 70s and early 80s, where it was double digits per se. So we have seen the same examples of people and businesses that are actually doing very well and growing and have a need. And rising interest rate markets, as it has been today, you'll feel that crunch, but your business may support it.
Yeah, we haven't seen I guess we haven't seen a change in our lending. I guess so. What I would say is what we would do a year ago, we would still do, and what we wouldn't do a year ago, we still wouldn't do. So it's really no change. So I would say from a small business standpoint, no change. Where we do see a change in some of the larger corporate deals, where we use interest rates to size deals. But that's a whole nother world. And the example would be if a developer was building a $100 million project. A year ago, they can finance 80 million of it. Today, they can only finance 50 million of it because they use interest rates to actually size those deals. So you might hear in the news that lending is slowing down. That's where we see the slowdown because they use interest rates to actually size those deals. But from a small business standpoint, I'm not seeing a material change. And I say that because my background is from a credit standpoint. So in my 20 years with the region, 17 years, I was the approver, for the different markets I covered. So.
Hi, my name is Tony Hall, and I have 2 businesses, and I have relationships with a couple of those up there. We'll talk later. But my question is, based on your experience, how do you see the interest rates, like say a year from now? Like you said, I've never in my lifetime seen interest rates this high. So based on your experience, where do you see this going a year from now?
I can't tell you for certain. If I could.
The reason I asked is because after COVID, I was able to modify my home loan, and I got a 3% interest rate. I'm never leaving my home. So I'm just trying to figure out, as far as my business, if I'm getting a line of credit or if I'm getting a small business loan and the interest rate, with Regions, maybe 8%, how do you see that in the future?
I don't expect
because I know you said that they use interest rates to size the loans, but for small businesses.
Yes. I guess that's a tough one because it depends on the day whether the economists are going to say the rates are coming down by the end of this year or first of next year. So we don't expect them to stay high for long, and when they come down, we don't expect them to go down fast. We expect it to be a slow downward movement on the rates, and that's short-term rates. So in long-term rates, it's kind of a whole nother crystal ball you have to look at. But I will say stay close to your banks because we are in, I would say, a volatile rate environment. So with that, you can make sure that when rates are dropping, you can take advantage of the lower rates. And when deposit rates are increasing, you can take advantage of higher return on your deposits.
My next question was personal guarantors for business. How do you keep because I have some financial relationships that I have that's not guaranteed by my personal and some that is. But I would like to separate myself from my businesses. How can I continue doing business without it affecting my personal credit? My personal credit is great, but there are times they're pulling things that cause an effect on my personal credit.
I would jump out there and answer the question and to say it's going to be tough for a small business to do it without the guarantee because they're actually looking at you as the business. So it's tough to get it without the guarantee. But I will say, asking a question, understanding when they're doing the credit pulls and how often are they doing the credit pulls, I think you can kind of manage to that. I know on our side, if you have a commercial relationship, you have a line of credit, you need to do a equipment loan. If the banker, if you discuss with the banker, you know, you're trying to limit your credit pulls, there's things that they can do to maybe not pull your credit. But that's kind of by bank and case by case. But I would just say talking to the banker, understanding when those credit pulls and how you can limit it.
I would say to add on, you can also look at what debt can be reported to which exchange. So for example, a business credit card, it's good to have a business credit card, you're going to get the hit, but it'll report to the business credit exchange. If you have a vehicle, if it's financed under your personal, but you refinance it under the business, there's a slew of benefits, but one of them is it comes off your personal debt to income ratio. So those types of things, you can kind of free up your personal credit report. You'll still get dinged to be a personal guarantor there, but it can alleviate some of the credit profile by understanding what can be under the business and what can't.
I'll add to that though, at the end of the day, you're at the center of it all. And really, you know, your business and what you have personally and in your business, you're the common denominator. So, you know, pretty much all of us look at the whole picture.
Yes, sir. Well, you were.
Yeah. Hi, I'm John. I'm a banker. So the guys everybody's talking about, that's me. So I'm the first point of contact. So once you walk in and you want to establish a business account or understand the business, what we have to offer, that's where I come in. So you usually sit there and you speak with me, and I kind of tell you what we do, what we offer, and how we better your business. But you know, one thing I want to touch on, because I heard a lot of, you know, relationship building, and I hear that word a lot. I kind of just want to, you know, not beat a dead horse or anything, kind of drill it in. You know, I'm kind of probably the least liked person in my branch. And I say that because every other day I have a customer bring me some type of food or some type of cookies. Actually, the bracelet I'm wearing, my customers actually made me these bracelets. That's what we really mean by relationship, you know. So like this young man says, you know, what do you mean by relationship? It's meaning to the point to where you come in, I can say, hey, how was your grandson's game last night? Did you win? Oh, that's great. You know, that type of business. Where you come in and be like, hey, that business, you close the deal that you were talking about last week? That's great. Because we get to a point to where we see so many customers a day, like you guys see so many people at the end of the day. For us, when I'm like, oh my God, that product that we offer, that'd be great for Mrs. Johnson or Mr. Smith, that'd be great. Because it comes to you guys are the first person to come to mind because we have a relationship. Just like when you guys have a new product out, you have that one client, like, oh my God, this would be great for them. You know, that's why we say we build a relationship, we build a rapport. Because again, at the end of the day, you know, we see in a day 30, 40 customers come through the day. You know, you guys come to the bank, you guys how many people that we have a day, and we see the faces that we see. You know, and I kind of think of it as like, I told my girlfriend the other day, it's like a personal trainer. You know, because you can have a personal trainer that you don't know who's sitting there yelling and screaming at you. You feel offended because you're like, I'm going as hard as I can. Versus a personal trainer who knows you, who's been there since the beginning with you, and who's yelling at you, and you're like, oh, okay, this person knows where I came from and where I can go. And they're not yelling at me because they want me to go, because they know I can do it, and they can hold my hand through it. So that's why, you know, when we say rapport and build a relationship, it's, you know, this is what we do. We talk money all day, you know. I don't talk insurance, so I can't talk insurance, so you know insurance better than me. So if I need insurance advice, I'm coming to you. You know what I mean?
As you should.
So, and that's what all we do, you know, 9 to 5, all we talk is money. So, like you guys, like I see a lot of things with my business owners, I said, who teaches you about money? I can't teach you about what you do. That's what you do. That's your craft. But money is my craft. I do this every day. You know, except weekends, I work weekends. You know, but Monday through Friday, this is what I do. I talk money. So again, you understand the business concept of actually how to build and grow the concept because there's a young lady back there. You know, but when it comes to money, that's my specialty. You know, I mean, if I can teach you ways how to budget your business, how to grow your business, how to save money. You know, you come from a business where you've never made more than $50,000 a year. Now you have a business, now you're making $200,000 a year. You've never managed that type of money before. So when you have $200,000, you can't treat $200,000 like you managed $50,000, you're in a whole different tax bracket. So this is what our arena specialty is. Well said.
Yeah. Thank you, thank you. 2 quick questions, please. One, is commercial lending, when assessing small businesses for commercial lending, in regards to Ms. Hall's question, is it evaluated on a different level totally, or is that same? And I ask that with the sense of, if you're a corporation, is it valued totally different, or is the owner still responsible to be the guarantor? And second question, I'll let you all answer that. And the second question is, if any of you all are SBA if you're SBA approved lenders, and if so, what are the criteria?
So anybody that has 20% or more ownership in said business, I can tell you with confidence, Truist, we're going to take personal guarantees on all of our loans. I won't speak for the rest of the panel, but it's probably similar there. Yes.
Yes.
We're also a preferred SBA lender. We've got programs 7A, 504, express loans. Working on one right now to give you an example. We talked about working capital in the room. So once you have that 2-year mark and can potentially qualify, I'm helping a roofer set up a working capital as they expand into other markets of growth. So that's another vehicle that we utilize for working capital. Real estate purchases, construction loans, you name it. Those are some of the programs that are available with SBA. And I believe my counterparts are also SBA lenders as well.
We're preferred SBA.
Preferred. Okay. You're in Regis, right?
One of the things that I can tell you also about the SBA, sometimes we are thinking when we start the business, SBA is the right product for start the business, but sometimes it's not. The hard part, I will go back, kind of your question, okay, can we predict what's going on next year? We don't know. No bank, no, the most knowledgeable economists or whatever more, they cannot predict what's going on next year. Not even banking, not even investment, not even nothing. But what can I tell you guys? I know in the past I did a lot of entrepreneur business classes for entrepreneurs. One of the things that I can encourage you guys is understand your business from the ground. If you understand your business from, okay, that I need a business line of credit, what is my cash flow? Go with the numbers. I'm a number person. And that's one of the things that, for example, when I help one of my business customers, I'm going to ask, okay, what is your projection? I don't understand the projection. Okay, let me explain what is the projection. Okay, in 3, 4, 5 years, what we need. Based on that, we can advise you, okay, maybe SBA lending product is good for you. Maybe a business line of credit is for you. And sometimes, well, maybe a personal loan, personal line of credit, personal home equity loan, or any other product, they can be beneficial for your business. But everything depends. We need to go case by case. And I want to reinforce again what we are being repeated and repeated again. Build a relationship with your banker. That's the key to success your business for the future. Because if you don't build a relationship with 3 people, your lawyer, your accountant, and your banker, it's going to be really hard in your growing your business. And that's one of the things that I want to tell you about that. So.
Okay. Does somebody else have? Yeah.
I did.
Yes, ma'am.
So I have one complaint for all bankers. My business is 16 years old. I brought the cookies, I celebrated birthdays, and my banker went and retired without my permission. I told her she could not retire. She moved to California. She definitely got far away from me. So this is my thought process. They're saying build relationships, but bankers also need to be handing those off. I don't have a replacement at my bank. They tried, kind of. It wasn't the same chemistry, it wasn't the same fit, it didn't work. But I'm in a business where I build relationships for a living. So I have relationships at other banks, like I mentioned earlier. So I encourage you, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Build those relationships. And from a banking perspective, man, if you're retiring or you're moving, do your best to hand it off to somebody. And I know you try, but it's not always going to be the match. But I didn't know whether the cookies worked or not, but I did the cookies. I did the homemade cookies every year for the holidays. I was bringing cookies to the bankers where I had relationships, and they were helping me through tough times. So I'm 100%. He's not kidding. Do that. And
Especially at Regions.
What's that?
Especially at Regions.
Oh, especially that there's a plug, especially at Regions. But that is, yeah, you guys can't retire and you guys can't move away. So that's the other problem.
Yes, I also have some other friends of mine that are here today watching this whole process go. And I noticed no one mentioned their industry, but I put that, for those of you I interview, they're on your list as well, because they're one of the next panelists we're going to have. And they were here observing this because they couldn't quite understand what I was saying on the phone, so they want to come see how this works. So I'm going to introduce Craig and Ashley.
But first, I have a question.
You can still ask your question, Ms. Ashley. They're with the insurance.
I have a bit of a, as
they're insurance
owner. Hi, I'm Ashley Duggett. I'm agency owner of We Insure Fort Myers, located at a college in Summerlin. We're a property and casualty insurance company. I was invited by Mr. Ford to come observe, but I do, as a business owner, have a question very similar to touch on what this young woman set up here. My business banker chose a different career path and abandoned me, which broke my heart immensely. And my replacement does not meet my needs or expectations, and I am in the process of looking at taking an SBA loan to purchase a commercial building to grow my business. So my question is as a business owner and being established with a bank for 4 years, is it in my best interest to branch hop and try to build a relationship within that bank, or am I safe to try to establish a relationship with another bank? Will it hurt me in my lending experience, or how should I handle that where I'm trying to take my business to the next level, but my trusted relationship who took the time to get to know me and my business is no longer there?
So my response is going to be, depends on what bank you're at. So if you're at Regions, stay at Regions.
I'm not at Regions. And I love my bank. I do everything there. My personal accounts, my business accounts, my investment accounts, everything there, and I love it because it's simple.
What you'll run into with lending is many times when we're doing financing, real estate attached, we're going to want the deposit accounts to follow naturally. So if you're looking externally from your existing institution, you have to be comfortable making that leap, because that is part of kind of that relationship building with the new institution, potentially helping you with the SBA loan. So I would just kind of weigh that, go back to where you're at now and see if you can find the right person, whether it's that institution or if they have, typically if you go to like Becky at a branch, she's going to call me because I do the SBA loan. So it's kind of finding the right niche person that's going to support that specific request, and that may be your new relationship manager that then wraps their arms around you to say, hey, sorry, you kind of slipped through the cracks and weren't getting the love that you needed, but here we are, and see if they can deliver.
I would say also you really need to find someone that's well-versed in SBA. There's 7A loans, there's 504 loans. Right. You really have to find an SBA lender that knows SBA. There's USOPs that just came out, and they have to have a lot of experience in it. So you need to interview them, kind of like it's going like on a date, You're kind of like checking them out, getting some questions answered. Might not be the right fit. So you really have to find someone who is extremely well versed in SBA. Now SBA does have guarantee fees as well, so you might be, that might be a commercial loan that might be better for you. Okay. So you have to weigh it out, do like a little analysis to see there's a guarantee fee with SBA loans versus maybe the fees with a regular commercial loan. You might be mature enough, well enough to be able to get a commercial loan rather than going in with the SBA route. SBA terms might be a little bit longer, but you know, having a really good experienced lender is going to sift through all of those things to get the best product for you at the best rate. So interview the person, you interview your current bank and see what their experience level is, and then interview all the other SBA lenders and see what their experience level is. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I want to add about Suzanne just told us. But again, in all the banks, I know that you are frustrated because you don't have more relationship with the banker than is already left. But I think so banks like us, Chain and Command, just go to the next level and like I say, communication. We talk about communication and you have already built in the relationship. So go to the next chain of command, say, okay, I would like to hear about my bankers if they don't have the connection or build the relationship, because I will find somebody, in especially with SBA lending, and they need somebody really important to know what they are doing. Just let us know. Let us know, and we will make sure that we have the right fit for you. I think so. You know, any other banks, they have the right fit for you. Mm-hmm.
I would say very similar. So if it happens to be one of us, and you don't have to say who the bank is, let us know, because we're in the community and we'll get involved. Don't ever be afraid to say, hey, look, you're about to lose the relationship. I don't feel comfortable, because you're the empowered party here. So you just remember, it's in your life.
And don't be afraid to ask for referrals, you know, with your realtor, with your colleagues, with, you know, people here, that it's really important to know that, oh, they had a good experience with this bank and they have an expertise with commercial real estate, or, you know, whatever it is, a particular area. Referrals are always helpful too.
Ms. Rose, and then.
Hi everybody, my name is Rose, and my company is the Women's Umbrella. I'm an intuitive life and business strategist. And my question is this: if you have had your business for a while and you come in, you connect with the banker, and let's say you go through some of the loan options or the line of credit and things like that, and you talked about credit. So let's say there's some things that are not so cute about your credit. So do you guys have a program, or you have a system or a step-by-step guide to aid you to be able to receive the resources and the loans and the lines of credit that you guys offer? That's my question.
I would say if you can't get there, we should always get feedback as far as how to get there with the path.
So you get the feedback, but what I'm saying is, do the banks have, you know, guides, or do the bankers like aid you? Do you have a program, or do you say go get a credit person to fix it? Because you say you did credit for years.
Oh, well, I was the underwriting manager, so I was the
right. Oh, underwriting. Okay. So I'm just curious, when people come in and you say, nope, you can't get that one, nope, you can't get that one, nope, you can get that one, but here are the steps you would need to do to get those. Yes.
So I'm also an associate personal banker, so I'm like the first person that you sit with. So my job would be to sit down with you and say, okay, we can't do this, we can't do this, we can't do this. This is where we need to start. This is how we get you there. So I know for Wells Fargo, we have different products, different services that can get you there, but you have to be willing to take advantage of that and also understand that it's not going to be overnight. Right. We're going to get there and it's going to be a process. And so for me, I look to do that with my customers, especially my business customers. So yes, we do have products, we do have services. You just have to be willing to work with us so that we can work with you.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the things, I'm sorry to interrupt. One of the things that we have in Wells Fargo, just to mention, I hate sometimes because we have great partners, but in Wells Fargo we do a mobile apps for that, and when they sit it with the banker, we are going to do, okay, I know that you struggle, we didn't approve, but this is a step by step. We have like 5 steps. Let's go know your FICO, understand your FICO, what is going on with your FICO. If you have a struggle with your business, and your business is reporting bad, okay, what do you need to know about this? What we need to go step by step, what we do. And maybe in 2 months, 3 months, depends on how serious is the struggle of that, maybe we can get an approval for that. So we will prepare, like I said, we are not just taking orders, and banking in these days is not just taking orders. We want to educate more of our customers in a daily basis, from the basic to more complex, so we can success and help the communities. Mm-hmm.
But actually,
Yes.
Regions, we just partnered up with a new company now for $6.99 to report all your utility bills to your credit report to help build your credit. So it's something that we just rolled out 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, this time. Go ahead, Ms. Shea. Oh, I forgot.
Yeah, you forgot.
Okay, so, credit is ultra important, and I'm glad you brought it up. So one of the differences between banks and between products is whether there's a credit score cutoff. And a lot of the federal, like the government loans or the SBA loans, what I understand, have a cutoff. And so Fimark does not. So we don't have a credit score cutoff. We look at the credit report and understand the story behind it. So for example, if someone had some medical bills and, things that were kind of extenuating circumstances, we will, understand when that happened and what they've done to remedy that. So the credit score cutoff is a good question to ask each bank. And then also, if credit repair is needed, we would encourage you to work with SBDC or similar organization to really build that credit, really look at what you need to remedy that and, build it back up.
Okay, sir?
Hello, my name is Elfer. I own EC Auto Service. My question is, do y'all banks have a business person in the bank? Because I love my bank. The only thing, I have to call and they don't reply. I need somebody in person.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so everyone has
You would have
somebody in there.
dedicated.
I like talking person to person. I don't like emailing, calling. Okay.
Or even come see you.
Oh.
Yeah.
I would like to recommend too, as an associate banker, so I may not be your business banker, but if you come to me and we have a relationship and they're not getting back to you, I can make sure that they get back to you.
Yes, because I love my bank. I go in, I ask for a loan, they give it to me personally. When it comes to the business, it takes forever, and I still haven't gotten back what I want. So, thank you.
Well, everybody, at the time, that's one thing. It don't stop. It keeps right on moving. Couple of remarks I would like to make, and to especially all of you in business. There were some common things said here over and over and over again that I hope you leave here with. And that's the importance of developing relationships in every segment of your business. Every one of you that was interviewed by me, and every one of you were, if you was a part of our group. I use my table in front of us as an example of how important it is for you as a business to have these relationships with people and professions and institutions. It's going to be for your own survival and own good. And before you leave here today, if you're smart, I know you may already have banking relationships. I got a banking relationship with 3 of these folks up here. And the thing is, if you got it or not, you need to have another one with whoever you see here. Let me explain. And I have told you this too, whether you retained it or listened. Always go up as high as you can in the pecking order. Did you understand what I just said? Always go as high as you can in the pecking order and then have them send you where you need to go down. Why is that important? Do anybody have any idea?
They'll keep track of it.
When you mention the name, you will draw attention.
And what do you want when you're dealing with a person that's probably dealing with hundreds of people every day, every month, doing the same thing, asking the same questions you are?
You want to be unique.
Hello. You want to stand out. If you don't, guess what? Ernest deal with how many now? If you don't do something weird, Ernest ain't gonna know who you is tomorrow after the hour. Just no different than you would. You meet people every day. The only people you remember are the people that does something that makes them unique or stand out amongst everybody else. It's the same thing in this. So you have to make the effort. You have to make the commitment for you. And then you see them. But like I say, go as high up the ladder as you can. I know you got at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bankers in here that's kind of up the pecking order. So who out of the grunt you want to make sure know you when they leave here today? See, I'm just sharing with you, just my job. And you see that lady, you see that young lady sitting over there behind the young man that talked to you about relationship and how important it is? She another one. She ain't on the panel, but she kind of up in that pecking order, just smiling at me. She's probably gonna tell me, Lee, I'm gonna knock you upside the head with this door. So, this is a practice I'm trying to get you guys to understand in life that you need to take outside of here. You're a business person. You're somebody. Okay? You're no longer just the average Joe walking up the street, going to work every day, punch the time clock, go home, cook dinner, and then go to watch Law and Order or whatever you look at on TV, and then go to sleep. Everything you do impacts your community. Not only you and your family, but it impacts your community. And you want to do the best at it, and you want to be the best at it. Okay? In order to be that, you got to be what? You got to be noticed. People got to know you. Walk like it, act like it. Tell Ernest, no, you don't want to see none here. You want to see you first, and then you tell me who you want to see. See, Miss Jill sitting next to him, she's so humble right there. Don't let that fool you at all.
Lee, does that mean that we have to bring bracelets? And if so, what's your favorite cookie?
Donuts is okay, cookies, anytime.
Yeah. And that, you know, that's a good idea, because like these, I got so many, I couldn't wear them. They made them and gave them to me. They want me to wear them, you know. The point is simple, good people. This is what this is all about. This is for you, to help you do what you need to do. And these are the people you need to start getting to. What? Now, you know I'm not in church. Now, you know I can't go there. These are the people that you need to do what with?
Build relationships.
If you never go to Regions Bank, but guess what you're going to know when you leave here today? Why? He's a resource. Whether you go to Regions Bank or not, if you go to, whether you go to Fine Market, now Ms. Jill said that Ms. Jill need to know you. You need to know Ms. Jill. How you think I know these people? I don't. Juan I know. I've been knowing Juan for a few years. I don't know her, but when I go in the bank, guess what?
She's the first person you see.
She's going to be the first person I see, and I'm going to say, well, how's Juan today? What did that do for me? That established that I know Juan and I have a relationship with Juan, so how's she going to treat me? Oh, I'm not some stranger walking in off the street. You follow me? I know this is not something some people customarily do naturally. It has to be instilled. That's why it's important that we do this for you. We want you to understand your world just changed. Okay? You know just as many banker folks as I know now. Not all of them, but you know most of them. But let's make it happen for yourself, and don't be shy. Some of y'all sitting here looking shy. I know you better. Okay? Any other questions? We want to, everybody got a survey in front of them. I need that. That proves to the U.S. Department of Commerce or whoever it is. You didn't get one? Okay, we got them here. We got panel ones and we got participant ones. Yeah, that's one. And be honest, they forgot to put the chicken on the salad. Right? Chick-fil-A, not me. I'm number 5.
I want to give you
Thank you.
You just go to Wells Fargo and small business, and that's the housing cash flow project, an example how they are. I promise you.